Ethan, Lol, River, and then Banana Olympia.
All right, guys. Welcome to the match between North Arizona University and the University of Hawaii Manoa. I am Eden Reshram, joined here with Lit.Give. Lit, I'm pretty excited for this match. These two teams have faced each other twice now, and I hear it's supposed to be a really amazing match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even though the University of Hawaii has historically gotten the better of this matchup, it is certainly a close one between them. I believe 3-2 in both series. So this is definitely going to be a very exciting match. And it looks like, as we're looking into the lobby, I believe they're going to be starting on Lijiang Tower, which, I mean, depending on the map that we're starting or which round on Lijiang Tower, we can be expecting some very different comps from both of these teams.
We've been seeing a lot of different things, both in ranked and across the open division tournaments at the upper level, especially for the Overwatch World Cup. We're seeing a lot of ball comps, a couple Reinhardt metas being formed around. A lot of stuff is still focused around the Kiriko. Kiriko is still extremely powerful with that Suzu and the ability just to get out of dodge as soon as you can. I'm really interested to see how the Kiriko players are going to match up into this, because I feel like that's going to be a very big dictate in how the flow of this match goes.
Absolutely. I mean, Kiriko is just such a powerhouse in the meta still. I mean, her Suzu ability is just such a get out of jail free card for so many situations. It's very character invalidating for a lot of different tanks.
It's why you're not seeing a lot of the other flex supports in the meta, although lately we have been seeing a bit of the Zen popping back in, especially as the ball's taking a lot of form here. I mean, maybe we're going to start leading
take one, but we'll get it done.
In my world, there are no secrets.
Yeah, of all of the maps in Lijiang Tower to be running the ball comp, this is definitely the one. Gardens, you're going to be seeing a lot of, or potentially a lot of leads off to the side here. Alright, who's going to come to play?
The University of Hawaii at Manoa.
It's time to save the
enemy here.
Got an enemy here.
Taken down at
the crux of this ball comp. It's the 1v1 with the Tracer, and the ball is going to be initiating there, and the Tracer is just going to be able to capitalize on all of that damage that you get. You get up to 100 damage from the slam, and that could be huge for making sure that you land that one hit.
Enemy here.
On the kid and just counting up and up.
Yeah, the absolute hero of that play, Math Dealer with the minefield, and stalling enough time for the Kiriko to come back with that Kitsune rush. It's just an absolute showstopper of an ultimate.
There they are. Enemy here.
Ult for 99 here.
Watch out for this one. Come here. I can heal you.
But as we do see Tom getting taken down, they have to pick up this physical level to get back to the online with the options they use. Now it does look like Papa KJ is only saving her. They had to get taken off the field. That pole bomb is not going to be able to save this point. Levels falling down, and it looks like Mono is going to be able to take round one on losing.
Yeah, and I mean, you see that he gets another minefield in a matter of one fight. Math Dealer going absolutely ham on that point, and it's worth noting that one of the big benefits to minefield, it might not be as strong as, say, a Graviton or a Gravitic Flux, but one of the benefits of that ultimate is that you can keep charging it while your initial minefield is out. So during that 20-second period when your mines are out, you're still charging your next one, and that's why he was able to stall for 2 fights in a row, and it's just such good area control on the control map.
Able to get anything done at the other point. It is look like we're going to see a bit of a swapping up, or we can potentially see the Reinhardt being played. Looks like Arizona might be running out on the Reinhardt rush, especially both teams to keep that Junkrat. And as we do see, those measures are staying as well. As we now see the first engagement, it looks like Say is going to be putting on a lot of pressure with that Junkrat line to line. A lot of damage in order to go ahead and try to pressure down levels on that Reinhardt. That ball pump is still going to be very, very volatile. Ball is able to sneak into the background, and it looks like it's putting the pressure on top of KJ. Pop KJ barely staying alive as Casey gets down on Tama. Blood on this one, which is taken by Arizona. And it looks like the pressure is still being applied by Manoa, even though they are at the not a lot of kills going on. Making a bit of a dust of Case on the show, getting taken down, although he is able to get out without damage. As Tama does take that Tama, bringing Manoa back up to the point, even though Arizona did cap in that midst of the fighting over there.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the staying power of this Wrecking Ball. You can get so much armor, 100 per target, and you're just gonna go for 1,000 health, and he's still making his presence known on this point, getting them so low. And while he's spearheading, I mean, Akamai is really just gonna be the force behind it as he is taking out these low health targets, and it looks like they're trying to be make a target out of this Reinhardt here. It doesn't look like they are flying with that down. Kamai, though, is just keeping up that pressure on the tank, on the DPS. They're just not able to touch the point here. It's just a complete stop by Manoa, even though they are at just a little bit of a disadvantage, but I don't get a disadvantage in the terms of the capture percentage is going to last very long. Yeah, that's absolutely what their plan is going to be. I mean, the rush comp just wants to get to the backline as quickly as they can, and in the meantime, Map Dealer is just going to try to cause as much of a disruption as possible to let Akamai cook, and he's got the pulse bomb online, so let's see what he can do with this fight.
They are in Arizona is engaged with that pulse bomb barrier, and the pulse bomb is out from Akamai. They are looking to see if they can get that slam, and they get the slam only to one. Reinhardt is not able to keep up with the critical presence. Levels is able to get the save. Mono is still extra picks, 3 extra picks on their own. It's just Levels as everyone puts up the pressure. Even though Pebbles was able to take it on River, that even though that could stall Mono just a little bit, the rest of the team for Arizona just isn't able to catch up.
This is exactly what we were talking about earlier with that character invalidating ability. Suzu just so strong. Doesn't matter that the shatter goes through, you are just completely absolved of your mispositioning there, and Arizona State, they're paying for it.
They are going to engage with that Rip Tire onto this point, and it does take out Banana, but Say is there to clap back on, not on one, but on two. The Joker and the Lucio are taken down from the fight. The charge is just missed. The headshot from the Kunai on the Seikana as the Wrecking Ball continues to tear up this Reinhardt. Sorry, the glory days of the German State are not here anymore. You're gonna have to go and swap.
Man, this is just brutal right here. They're not getting what they want on this rush comp. They really need to be able to charge onto a target, and when you're playing a rush comp against Ball, you really want to take advantage of the backline that don't really have much mobility. Unfortunately, with this Ball comp, they're running it with the Lucio Kiriko, both having either stellar movement or a perfect disengage like a teleport or a Moira fade, and it's going to make it really difficult for them to actually pin someone down. I mean, look at the composition. I mean, who is the Reinhardt going to run down? I mean, they can't quite get a hold of Akamai. Him and Map Dealer are just all over the place. I mean, good luck trying to run that down with a Reinhardt, and you're going to have a tough time. You can try to run the Junkrat, but that's kind of a Junkrat playground on that map. If you try to go through server room, you're just going to get spammed out, and it's such an enclosed area that you're just going to get shut down every time, and you're going to have a really rough time trying to close that distance, and if you do close that distance, you're going to take a lot of damage in the process.
And that whole time, the Reinhardt has to keep the barrier up, because if he doesn't keep the barrier up, the Junkrat's just gonna have free reign. And sure, that could have been a problem for Manoa, but Manoa had the ball comp just constantly disrupting them in the back. Pebbles was just not able to take any stance against Manoa whatsoever. Akamai in the front there as well, cleaning up kill after kill on that Tracer. Say throwing it down as well. It just didn't look like Arizona really had a major foothold there. I questioned the Reinhardt composition just a little bit. Now, to their credit, Reinhardt has been just a little bit strong, and he does pair up with a lot. Reinhardt does have a lot better synergy with characters like Baptiste, like Zenyatta, but at the same time, we are just gonna go ahead and see what Pebbles is gonna bring up next time.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing a much different map here. I mean, if the pace on Legion Tower is very it can be a great map with a lot of space to run around if you're Wrecking Ball or your Tracer. But in for Paraiso, as we go into here, you're going to have to force your way through a choke point, and it can be a little bit awkward. The posturing phase for a Wrecking Ball and Tracer can be much longer. It can be a lot harder to get into a position where you can take out the back line, especially on this first point. There are so many more spots in the back where it's going to be harder for a Tracer and Ball to break through. And yeah, as we see here, the University of Hawaii, they're going with their patented Sigma comp, which is what they have been using throughout this season, and they've really been making a case for running this on a variety of different maps. Of course, Garden's not being one of them. It's not one of Sigma's strongest maps, but here on Paraiso, they're really going to want to make as much space as they can for their long-range hit scan DPS. Akamai, of course, on the Widowmaker, maybe just trying to get a snipe out of the spawn, trying to get a grapple shot and then swap off possibly to a Tracer, but scratch everything I said. It looks like we're rolling out on the Doomfist.
Rolling out on the Doomfist comp. Doomfist has been just a little bit stronger, although he did receive the nerf just shortly before the Season 3 patch. We do see Sei doing a little bit of scouting on the Sombra. He picks out that Sigma right there, potentially looking for a hack and just making sure the team knows every single other player. And we do see the Echo swap from Akamai, as we do see Matt Dealer making that big punch onto there, even though he does take a rock and a Cassidy grenade to the face. It looks like Plebbles is going to be applying a lot of the pressure onto Banana. Manoa is pretty low in the healers department as River God is being taken down by Casey. Looks like Sei is going to try to do a little bit of scouting in the back, gets a little bit of utility with the health pack. Matt Dealer is going to take a bit of a Hail Mary, but Saikana is just there ready to take out that Doomfist. That fish out of water look does not look good on you right now, Matt Dealer.
Yeah, and running the Doomfist here is going to be tough. I mean, it's the amount of value that you get from the Sombra scouting is going to be huge in making sure that this Doomfist play works. But if you just look at where they are, they're all high ground, and you have to use one of your movement abilities just to be able to engage with a punch there, and that could be a critical cooldown that you need to
Banana
escape.
is down again. Casey has just been putting on a lot of these discords as Papa KJ and Tom just clean up the rest of the match. Sei is not getting a whole lot of value either, as we only see 44% on the EMP climbing up. And it does look like Papa KJ is going to be able to do a little bit of cleanup onto Matt Dealer, and they do pick out Sei. They know Sei is in the background though, so they are going to have to be just a little bit on edge, as we do see ultimates coming online for Tom, and we do see that very nice window open up from Saikana, potentially being a little bit of an issue for Mono as well.
Yeah, and we see the swap immediately over to the Sigma. I mean, it's going to be really rough to try and make Doomfist work here, but luckily they can keep that 25% ult charge, so they're not going to fall too far behind on the ult economy.
Akamai is putting down a lot of pressure onto them as the window does come out for Saikana and the Immortality Field at the same time as the Deadeye takes out River God. Banana Lipa is also taking down a lot as they use the copy in that fight. Akamai is just taken down for the copy as he is sitting at a nice 65%, but it doesn't look like it really matters that much. Tom is there for a lot of cleanup. Matt Dealer is out of the way. Looks like this is going to be a very nice defense from the University of Arizona.
Yeah, in Arizona, I mean, that's a brutal ultimate exchange for the University of Hawaii. They are going to be coming up on an EMP, so they have to go for this Hail Mary here. I mean, the Gravitic Flux plus the EMP is just an absolute fight ender, and they have to make it count. But unfortunately, because he spent 2 lives on the Doomfist, Matt Dealer's not quite going to be there yet, and so he's just going to have to charge for a little bit.
Levels himself has been taking a lot of that charge as well, and we do see a lot of the pressure being put down onto Tom, but Papa KJ is there. The EMP, even though it is matched, this is not Overwatch 1 where it shuts down every ability as long as it does. Levels and Tom are there to do the cleanup. The EMP, it was being built for over 3 minutes. It just does not get anything accomplished. Papa KJ has been dominating this map, hasn't even needed to use the Bob whatsoever. North Arizona staying on the point alive.
And that Doomfist, 2 rounds, 2 lives of playing Doomfist is absolutely coming to bite them. If he wasn't playing that, or if he was playing the Sigma from the beginning, they would have had that combo. I don't know if it even would have mattered. They have it now, and they have to make the most of it. But during that time where he was trying to charge that ultimate, Banana Olympia goes down, but this time they have it.
Large Gravitic Flux out, and Sei is able to do a lot of cleanup, even though Tom is able to take him down at the end. Matt Dealer is doing a lot of damage, and we see a pause on the screen as we see the rock potentially coming out from Matt Dealer's face as that Bob is on the point. A very nice turnaround for Manoa, as we see. It does look like one of the players did unfortunately have a bit of a game crash, so we're going to be working on fixing that right now. But I gotta say, Lit, that was a really good turnaround for Manoa. It was like back against the wall. We saw Sei running on that Sombra maybe a little too much. Matt Dealer also being just a bit of a fish out of water on that Doomfist for a little bit too long. But I guess at some point, maybe North Arizona just wasn't expecting the onslaught. Maybe they were expecting the Sigma ult to be just taking a little too long. Either way, it does look like they are going to be able to capture the point as soon as we get back into the game.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was definitely a do-or-die situation for the Rainbow Warriors there. And, you know, it would have been good to have the EMP there, but, I mean, Matt Dealer just brings it up big. They didn't really have too many ultimates to combat it. Fortunately, they were able to take down Bob really quickly. And it's just, I think Arizona just kind of ran out of firepower at a certain point. But they do take a lot of time off of the clock, which means that Manoa is going to be a little bit on the back foot as we go into the second point. We saw how good Arizona was at holding the high ground on first point. Well, on second point, it's only going to be harder for them because the high ground can be brutal to try and push through on the offense.
Something we do see with a lot of these teams is either we see a very big snowball effect as it goes into the second point when the defense just wasn't prepared and they need time to build up those ultimates. See, we're getting back into the game right here. The Sigmas are being able, just doing a little bit of a dancing move. Bob is on the point right now, and it does look like Manoa is going to be able to capture this point. And like you were saying, we are going into a very big high ground area. Are we going to potentially see Papa KJ dominate? Akamai did just switch over to the Ashe.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to go for the contest. They're just going to let them take it, and a very smart move. They're just going to take that high ground, and we can see a lot of teams potentially get stuck right outside of these gates, and we're also going to see a swap to the Mercy, which means that, a lot more damage is going to be coming out.
Looks like we're trading for Say and Saikana here as Tom is able to take down Say. Say taking down Saikana. Matt Dealer is getting a lot of pressure on that Sigma back from Plebbles. Plebbles is starting to come back online again. Tom taking down that resurrected Say over there as well. It looks like Mono is going to be have their backs against the wall just a little bit as the Rock does unfortunately miss Plebbles over there. Plebbles and the rest of Arizona are putting down a lot of good pressure. Looks like Mono is just going to have to wait for some of the resources to come back.
To imagine that Say is going to want to get off of this Junkrat as soon as possible. I mean, one of the biggest struggles that, or one of the biggest things that Junkrat struggles with is going to be that high ground. He has the rip tire ready to go, but he goes down there, which means he's going to be stuck with it for another 10 seconds and then some as he respawns. But meanwhile, Matt Dealer is making a lot of progress on the point.
There is a lot of progress being made on the point as the Bob is used by Manoa. Akamai is able to take down Tom. Plebbles is about to fall, but it looks like he's got a lot of that support as Papa KJ takes down a very major source of healing from Manoa. Matt Dealer is just a little bit of exposed, but Akamai is there with the backup in order to take down the counter-posing Ashe. Looks like the two Sigmas are going to be doing just a little bit of a dance of fate as Akamai is taking up for the pride. Looks like he is taking just a bit of a hit from that gravitic flux. Plebbles has been one of the major forces for Arizona. Somebody who's largely quiet in the first round even though he is falling down here, he has been stalling a lot of time for Arizona.
Daring escape from River God right there to try and use the Valkyrie to get out of that situation. You don't have the constant healing from Valkyrie anymore, so using it there is really risky, but fortunately it pays off while Banana Lumpia was still coming back from the respawn, and that gets them enough healing to get them over the second point and into third as we move past the second checkpoint.
And the one thing we haven't really talked about is that Mercy swap from River. They have a lot more damage output with that thanks to that pocket and the blue beam on the Junkrat and on the Ashe. There's two very large targets that they can hit as we are doing just a little bit of Metagear solid work as Say and River have been just taking about it, but looks like River is about to be just a little exposed, but he is able to make it out just in the off chance. Say is still looking for a nice place to use the tires, and Dynamite does take out, or does do a lot of different work on North Arizona over here. Seems to be just a little bit of a dance around the corner as we see a lot of the two teams get taken down with a massive rip tire from Say, taking out Papa KJ and Saikana. No resurrect for North Arizona, unfortunately. Looks like Plebbles is unfortunately faring a lot better either. Looks like the two team members need to take a little bit of back step. Hopefully they can reconvene in order to make one last daring defense.
Yeah, the classic Say tire. I mean, they took they took the fact that they were stuck on the Junkrat from first point and turned it into their own advantage, and now they're going to open up this point. We saw so many ults on the side of Arizona, but they're just not getting a good opportunity to use any. But just as I say that, a Deadeye takes out Matt Dealer.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of pressure is being put down onto Manoa right now. 56 seconds left on the clock and counting as Tom is able to take down that nice Bob up from Akamai. Akamai takes down the other opposing Bob in due time, but it does look like we are going for just a little bit of a reset.
Yeah, and we see no ultimates across the board, which means they're going to have to go for a drive fight. This last point can be really hard to crack without some massive advantage, so we're going to have to see something big from the team.
Akamai taking down Saikana, a massive pick from Manoa, and taking down the other support player. Casey just was not looking there. Even though there is a bit of a dynamite effect on Manoa right now, it doesn't look like Arizona is going to be able to take that much of a defensive hold. Ashe is very low. Papa KJ is doing his hardest to fight, but unfortunately just was not enough. Matt Dealer is able to finish the takeoff, and it looks like the Baptiste is getting pressured down as well. He is able to slip behind just in order to recharge his HP just a little bit, but Casey unfortunately is not so lucky. Banana is not lucky on the end of Manoa either. Arizona trying to make one last desperate play, but Tom just was not able to take down Say. Plebbles, however, is making sure that they stay alive in this set. He is making sure that everyone knows that Sigma is a force to be reckoned with as we're now entering overtime. Gravitic Flux is being used by Plebbles in order to try to save the point. 2 picks from Arizona, 3 picks from Arizona. Arizona is telling Manoa, you are not crossing the sea, you are not crossing over to our territory. No completion for Manoa. Arizona keeping it at a nice 2-0.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw there a great opening from Akamai to get the 2 picks on the Ashe there, but as soon as River God goes down, that just completely took the wind out of their sails, and we saw, even though they had 2, 3 picks, getting that first pick and losing a support of all roles, that's just going to be such a big blow. And on the defensive side, I mean, every pick that you get on the defense is worth more than on the offense because you just have so much farther to go on your respawns, and eventually that spirals into Arizona being able to hold on to the point. But despite how rocky that first point offense looked for Manoa, they managed to make a decent push out of it. But let's see what Arizona has in response.
I know Arizona was so good on that defense, and even though the defense did crumble a little bit as in the streets phase, they were able to pull it back up out towards point C. It does look like we are going to be seeing that Ashe Junkrat DPS line even on defense, but the one major difference is that we don't see the Mercy this time. River is instead pulling out the Zenyatta.
Yeah, River, of course, supports can't carry, the famous or almost infamous frag movie that he made from the backline, showing that you can get quite a bit done from the backline, and of course River notorious for this Zenyatta. Let's see what he can get done.
It does look like they are trying to roll out in order to get that first pick, and Tom, unfortunately not able to snipe it, is dancing between the McCree and now looking for the Hanzo. Interesting play here. Hanzo, even though he did get that very nice Cupid skin recently, let's see how it's going to match up. He's going to need to do a lot of shield break pressure onto Matt Dealer over here, as we do see Casey trying to keep those discords on those high value targets. It does look like they're doing just a little bit of a dance as Papa KJ is able to take down Akamai, keeping up this very nice offense so far. Matt Dealer taking a rock to the face as he does have that burn effect. Both orbs on him from the opposing Zenyatas as Papa KJ is... Oh, Tom is unfortunately taken out by Sei. Zycana taking down the Immortality build in the return, but we do see a lot of pressure being made onto the Sigma up here. We are going to be seeing Papa KJ putting down a lot of pressure into the Zen as he backs off into the corner. Looks like Arizona just needs to take a bit of a break. They did lose Tom pretty early in that fight.
I think one possible reason for the swap is that, I mean, Mercy, especially with the buffed healing, has a lot of healing, but maybe movement is a little bit worse with that Guardian Angel, and so maybe they just want to commit to having extra damage.
Tom is able to take down Banana, and Akamai is responding in turn, taking out a massive source of damage as he takes the swap onto the Sojourn. Tom, unfortunately, saying, no, Sojourn, I'm the original DPS here. I do more burst than you. We're taking it back to Overwatch 1 for that busted Hanzo time, as Matt Dealer is going to try to respond back with a nice Gravitic Flux, taking down Casey. Bubbles is not faring very well either, as the Baptiste is looking in order to make his daring escape. But it looks like we're seeing a bit of a mirror over here. Mono is able to take a pretty stern defense, just like Arizona was.
Yeah, and only one ultimate invested, so they're still doing decent on ult economy. Of course, everyone is building up for the penultimate fight coming soon. Just about 2 minutes left on the clock, and looks like their stronghold will hold thus far.
We do see the rock being used by Matt Dealer to do a nice E-lim on Casey. I think that's probably going to be stopping that Arizona push, but it looks like they are still going to try to take that bit of a Hail Mary. Tom is trying to do a lot of pressure, but he's getting pressured down by that Sojourn. Just the distance and the more consistent damage from the railgun is unfortunately not matched for the nice bow, but it doesn't look like Zycana really cares. Zycana is just being there to take down all the picks, taking down that Sojourn of Akamai. We see that the Sigma is starting to see a lot of the pressure of the Baptiste as he's taking a bit of a back around the corner. Plebbles is unfortunate. It's looking for that nice pick himself, but it does seem like we are still a bit of a stalemate. Nobody has really wanted to take the initiative, even though they do take down Math Dealer with that nice Dragon Strike. Sei is able to take down Zycana, but Casey responds back and eliminates Sei. Looks like the Banana Lupia and the use of the Transcendence?
I think that's just to try and seal the deal right there. They really want to take this point, but I mean, check marks across the board, looking like a Twitter blue thread, and it's not going to matter. They are going to get the point. No contest coming through from University of Hawaii. It looks like they're just going to try to take advantage of this high ground instead. Junkrat pick is strange, but it looks like it's working out. I mean, now that you're on the defensive side, you just have so many more angles to just rain down fire on everyone.
But look at those ultimates. We do see that the Manoa is taken down with Sei, and Papa KJ is also taken down. But keep in mind, Manoa has the support ultimates, but it doesn't seem like that's very much a big deal. Arizona's putting a lot of pressure as Matt Dealer is taken down. Akamai is going to make sure that the Zenyatta knows that the Sojourn is still in this lobby as he is able to take just a bit of a detour. Nice tour of the city of Paraíso.
Yeah, and it looks like on the offense, Manoa was able to take them out in this second streets phase, and such that Arizona wasn't really able to contest them much on this last part of the map here. And this is where a lot of offenses can get halted right before this second checkpoint. So it could be that University of Hawaii is trying to make their stand here instead. Akamai going for a very aggressive dive there and gets out of dodge immediately.
Oh, Pebbles is almost taken down by Matt Dealer himself. He's getting pressured so deep, but Saikana was there with that immortality field. The bomb, however, is not faring very much well either. Pebbles is so low. He has got both the Discord and the pressure from the opposing team. It looks like Papa KJ is trying to make that little bit of a detour, but Saikana is unfortunately not able to take that same route. Tom is being very pressureful and does take down the Baptiste, I'm sorry. And it looks like it's a bit of a back and forth. Just Papa KJ and Saikana coming back, but Sei and Akamai have just been taking the control at this point, and Sei finishing up Papa KJ over there. Looks like Manoa is trying to make sure that this defense lasts as long as they can.
Battle of the DPSs is going to come down in favor of Sei in the final hour, and just about a minute and a half left. They're going to have enough time to build up these ultimates, but how are they going to use them? University of Hawaii is also going to be building up for that as well, and it looks like they're going to try to take a different angle here to spam out high ground as much as they can first. Is this Gravitic Flux going to be used here? Maybe they're going to hold on to it for just a second.
Gravitic Flux they might need to put into that Gravitic Flux as Sei is taken out by Tom. Tom is now sending out the Dragon Strike, and unfortunately it doesn't look like Matthew was able to eat it, taking down Banana in the process. Looks like Mondo is going to be engaging with their own Gravitic Flux. How many does it hit? Not enough, but it doesn't look like that really matters. Akamai is there to clean up Casey as he does get that nice rock onto the Ash in the background. A lot of pressure is still being put on Bubbles as he's got that Discord Orb on him. A lot of the pressure from the Sojourn as we do see the Railgun the Railgun charge onto Tom. We do see that Overclock also coming online for Akamai, but I don't think he needs to use it just yet. Arizona's going to need to back off just a little bit in order to go ahead and recollect themselves as we do see the swap onto the Cassidy.
Yeah, Matt Dealer getting so much damage onto Plebbles and Papa KJ, just forcing them to concede that space, and they're just squeezing so much out of this defense, and I really don't know how Arizona is going to be able to break this.
The savior of this fight needed to be Saikana, but it doesn't look like Matt Dealer is any interested in making sure that they have it, as we do see the clock starting to tick over to overtime. Is Arizona going to be able to touch the point? We do see the Lucio touch, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Akamai, Matt Dealer just making sure that they don't putting a lot of that pressure. Matt Dealer saving Paraíso for Manoa.
Yeah, and these ult fights are just really not going well for Arizona. I mean, even when they do get one, as the fight ensues and as it gets into a more scrappy, separate 1v1 situation, I mean, Akamai and Sei are just doing such a good job of winning those situations, and it's really paying off here. They're just not able to get a clean fight win, and you have to get a clean fight win against these players. Each of them individually are just so strong. And it looks like University of Hawaii is going to go up 2-0 in the series so far.
I'm interested to see, because that was a major improvement from Arizona. On the first point of Lijiang, it was just all Manoa all the time, but Arizona was able to clap back pretty well on Paraíso. Manoa took a long time to break that defense, and it did force them into the corner just a little bit, but Manoa, unfortunately, you can't hide the Rainbow Warriors out. Arizona is a long ways away from the great kingdom of Hawaii, but as we see, just not able to overcome that wave.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest improvements that Manoa made on their defense that Arizona didn't quite capitalize on as much when they were on their defense is conceding that high ground. As we saw on the first attack or first round when Manoa was on the attack, they were really trying to hold and vie for that high ground positioning, and there were a lot of fights and fluxes were being used just to try and take the high ground. But by the time the fight kind of wound down and there was only a couple of people left, that's not enough firepower to hold on to that checkpoint. And as we saw, Manoa capitalizing, and you can make such a stronghold on that defense right before the checkpoint. and Manoa was just able to draw so much more time out of their defense when they were defending that second point.
Now we are going to be going on to New Queen Street, doing a little bit of a detour over to Toronto. We are just waiting on a little bit of the lobby to finish getting played. But I am interested to see. Push is a very different game mode from Escort and from Control, so I'm interested to see if we're going to potentially be moving. I know Orisa is pretty strong, at least in the ranked ladder on this map. We're going to see if maybe we're going to move over to the ball comps. Are we going to still keep in those narrow sight lines? Maybe see Plebbles going over to the Reinhardt?
We could very possibly. I mean, I've been seeing on Push a lot of ball comps being ran. Of course, they could just opt to run the Sigma again, but we're gonna have to see. I would be a little bit surprised if we didn't see a mobile DPS like Tracer, and we are gonna see a pause.
Just
As,
just a little bit of
Nebula
little bit
reconnects.
of technical difficulties on the end of some of the players here, but I am interested to see because we have been seeing this has been a bit of a dance of the tanks. Plubbles was just not able to take a bit of that rain on the Winston or on the Reinhardt on Lijiang, but then as soon as we go over to Paraiso, it's all the Sigma all the time, and he was able to stand up pretty well on his own end to Math. I'm interested to see here. Is he gonna make the swap to the ball? Is he gonna make a swap to an Orisa? Is he going back to the Reinhardt? I'm just interested to see what happens.
Yeah, and I think the switch over from the Mercy to the Zenyatta definitely helped. We saw so much more damage going in to Plebbles than we did on Math Dealer, just because that Discord is so difficult to deal with. And when you're playing the Mercy comp, you're really only damage boosting your Ashe the whole time. And whereas if you're discording a single target in both your Ashe and Junkrat are crossfiring, plus the Sigma left clicks, I mean that's going to be so much damage going on to a single target. And we saw Levels being forced to back up so much on that offense.
It's like he was trying to stop a moving train, but the moving train was also firing rocks, and it was firing fire. And I don't know if that's gonna be the easiest thing to dodge out of that form. Discord is the bane of existence of tank mains, man. Every time you see the Zenyatta enemy team as a tank, you're like, man, it's gonna be one of those games.
It's so difficult, and to add insult to injury, you can't break LOS with shield, so the barrier is just gonna do nothing. It's gonna go down, and you're gonna go down with it, whether you like it or not. I think if we see a little bit more use around or coordination around the Discord orb on the side of Arizona State, I mean, they have to relieve some of this pressure that Matt Dealer is putting on, and they have to take it in the frontline battle. And so far, we haven't been seeing that too much, but I mean, again, this is still just game 3 in the series. Do or die for Arizona. They have to make it happen here. And I mean, pushes can be a very, very scrappy game mode. It can definitely be a little bit difficult for players newer to Overwatch 2 to adjust to, just because it's so different from some of the other points, and you have to be really careful about when you're taking engagements, because the respawns can be brutal if you don't get that forward spawn, and so you really have to be careful about when you're engaging, and taking a fight when you're down it can cost you a lot in push.
Sometimes I see a lot of newer players whenever they play push. I feel like they try to treat it like payload, but you kind of really can't treat it like payload at the same time. It's not the same consistent like going in one way. It's very scrappy, like you said. There's constantly orbs being thrown everywhere, shots being fired on either side. It's gonna be interesting to see because we did see a lot of a very defensive playstyle from both teams, and I'm interested to see when they're forced into that scrappy environment how that's gonna shake things up here.
Yeah, as this game mode evolves, I've been seeing a lot of different approaches. Some being more reserved with the fights that they take, making sure that they're all grouped up and ready to go before they actually engage at all, even at the cost of some push. On the other hand, what I've been seeing from this varsity squad on the University of Manoa is that they've just been going gung-ho the whole time and trying to get as much push as they can, and even the tiniest little advantage, as soon as they manage to get anything, any cracks in the defense, they're just going to keep pushing as much as they can, and everyone is just going to die on the point. One thing that I heard their support River say during one of the scrims was that for the most part, when they play push, almost always whoever wins that first fight, the mid rollout, is almost always going to end up winning the map in the end, because you just have such an advantage when you have control of the bot first. As long as something doesn't go horribly wrong in that first or second fight following that, you tend to just ride that momentum the entire time. And it looks like we might be having a bit of a longer tech pause than anticipated, and I think the stream is going to be going to a break.
We're going to be throwing into a very quick break in just a little bit. Do have a bit of issues with Math Dealer. You know, every now and then, PCs, they just don't like to work. I feel like we've all been there at some points. We're going to go ahead and throw it to a very quick break. When we come back, though, it's going to be mayhem on New Queen Street. We're going to go ahead and throw it to a quick break. See you soon. Alright, looks like we are getting back in. Just had a bit of a technical pause over there, but we do see a nice bit of a nice little callback into, to the Overwatch League Grand Finals here from Arizona, as we do see that Reaper Tracer, although it was a bit of a Sojourn, but we do see the Reaper Tracer back on for Arizona here, as we do see the Sojourn Junkrat. Junkrat play has been a very interesting pick from Say this whole game, but it seems to be working out pretty well as the Winston jumps into Say's trap. He is able to make it out, but I do think that it's just a bit of caster curse right there. As Akamai is taking down Casey, or Akamai. I apologize, Akamai. I was told your name was pronounced a certain way. This is my formal apology to you, Akamai.
I'm so sorry. I thought you knew, but yeah, that's my bad. Isai, I am very sorry. I apologize, but as we get back into this fight, we see that the Rainbow Warriors are going to be taking this first fight, and that can be very indicative of how the pace of this fight is going to be going for the rest of this, or possibly next few fights. Arizona is going to be playing on the back foot, and of course we know that Say, even though Junkrat isn't necessarily a top tier pick on this map, as I just caster cursed him, we know that Say is kind of known for his Junkrat play, a little bit infamous in the UHE community. As we watch this fight wind down, we're just gonna see Matt Dealer try to get as much push as possible, and that's gonna kill some of their time as they're waiting for these respawns here. And going for a bit of a vintage comp here. Winston comps were definitely something at the start of Overwatch 2, but we haven't been seeing it too much. Of course, Lucio and Kiriko as strong as ever, but I'm interested to see how this pans out. Of course, they have two very diveable targets in Ana and Baptiste, so let's see what they can make it happen. Oh, what a pick!
Say doing that nice pick onto the Lucio right there, putting a lot of pressure onto Kiriko, and Matt Dealer is taking down Levels. Even though they are very close in order to taking over Monoa's lead, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do it. Akamai taking down that Kiriko right there. Saikana, unfortunately, not being able to find the heart of the cards right there. And unfortunately, Tom, looks like you're going to have to go back to that graveyard.
Yeah, and we see there that last couple seconds of pushing on Map Dealer are going to pay off as they don't take the lead back. And again, Arizona is just going to be stuck having to play catch up here. And that's why that first fight is just so powerful. We see the ultimates are coming online for University of Manoa.
Primal Rage is able to take down Akamai, and Tom is able to take down Say in return. There is a lot of pressure being put on by Arizona, and it looks like they are going to be able to do a nice wipe. Matt Dealer is going to try to do the same thing that he did to stall for time, and looks like the Ana from River Play is going to try to do the same. Maybe it is going to work out in the long run, but still, Manoa is losing that bot right here.
Yeah, and they don't take the they don't get the forward spawns, so unfortunately for Arizona, they don't have to deal with them right away, but they're going to try to close this distance as much as possible. We saw Manoa trying to get the jump on Arizona, starting with the Rip Tire.
Ooh, that pressure being put down onto Akamai. It is just a lot, but he is responding back with the overclock. Reaper is almost going to fall down, but a lot of the pressure is now on that Sojourn tape, being able to take it down. But Say and Banana are there to respond back, taking down the Tracer and the Reaper themselves. Levels looks like he's going to be joining them soon. And it looks like once more, Arizona just not able to overtake Manoa's lead. Team kill for the chat.
Yeah, and it looks like Rainbow Warriors, they're just having a little bit more initiative. As we saw in the fight before this one, it didn't really work out for them. They started with the Tire and then the Gravitic Flux, neither of those really connecting, but this time Akamai's Railgun able to draw enough attention off of that. Matt Dealer is able to just make things happen on the point.
On the Lucio. Tom is looking to see if he can get some with that nice dance of death, and it looks like it's going to keep Arizona alive. But Matt Dealer and Akamai are putting down a lot of the pressure. Tom, unfortunately, is by himself along with Papa KJ, and it doesn't look like it's going to matter for Manoa. Looks like this bot is going to be marching its way all the way back across the Colorado River, taking a nice trip over the sea from Manoa, and it looks like everyone on Arizona is making their play back into Manoa territory.
Tom, absolute MVP of that fight. They really don't want to have to concede and give them the forward spawns. That would just make coming back here that much more difficult. They're inching forward to taking that lead back, but let's see what Sei can do as he tries to go for this flank here on the jump grab.
The lead is matched. Sei is doing a lot of bit of pressure. Akamai is also pressuring down that Winston. Bubbles is taken down by Sei. But in this whole fight, Arizona was able to take the lead back. Sure, there are a lot of picks coming out from Noah, and sure, it does look like they are going to be able to push his spot back over the sea. But in the end, they did what they weren't able to on the third attempt. Third time is the charm, like they say. 51.71 to 51.47. But Mono is marching back very, very quickly.
Crucially, they didn't get the forward spawns again, and I think whoever gets that forward spawn first is just going to have such a huge advantage, because all of this time where they're going to have to reset and reposture, Arizona does not want to get staggered here. They're just going to pop the Kiriko ult right away.
We are seeing a lot of bit of pressure coming out from Math Dealer, but Saikana is taking down Sei. Akamai in the background does have that railgun, as it is 0.01 of a distance. Saikana is taking down Banana, trying to make sure this lead is staying on that mainland. A lot of the pressure is being put down by Levels, but Akamai in the back, saying, no, we are keeping this on the sea. We are keeping this in here. That bot is a boat. We're trying to keep it over here. Papa KJ is trying to make sure that Akamai is not getting a lot of work done. A lot of the pressure is being also applied by Matthew onto Lucio. But that Lucio, like the Reddit Lucios of the bane of your existence, just dancing around the point. Sei, in the meantime, is able to take down Papa KJ. A lot of the team members from Arizona marching back into the point. Nano boost used onto Matthew right here as he's putting a lot of pressure. Riveted Flux coming out, but he is very low. Sound barrier used. This Casey Dunn kid, the Reddit Lucio of your nightmares, is keeping them alive. Casey Dunn taking down Sei.
No way.
And the Dance of Death once
No
more
way.
from Tom. Oh my gosh. That was an amazing team fight. The Reddit Lucio for the win.
Yeah, and Saikano, what a heads up play there to use the Kiriko rush right at the start of that fight, and they do concede the lead, but crucially, again, they don't give them that forward spawns. That's going to give them, they've set themselves up perfectly to try and take this lead right back, and Tom, of course, brings the house down with the Blossom.
Levels taking down River God at the same time. Arizona is starting to come back alive, keeping themselves in this series. Papa KJ saying, we are not going home tonight. Tom and Saikana cleaning up the fight as well. Matt Dealer trying to apply a little bit more seconds, but Arizona climbing it over back across the Colorado River, taking the first of the forward spawns for Arizona. Looks like things are coming up Arizona over here as they are taking just a bit of a back step.
Yeah, and they're more than willing to do that for a couple of reasons. One, they can't push it when the bot is going through that checkpoint animation, so they're just going to take the time to get the respawns. But, of course, University of Hawaii, they're going to get the forward spawns or the instant respawns as well, and so let's see what they can make of this next fight.
Matt Dealer taking down his counterpart once more. Sei looking to reclaim a bit of a loss of vengeance against the Reddit Lucio, as Akamai is making sure that Reddit Lucio does not repeat the same things of the past. Papa KJ is able to take down the immortality field of Manoa, but it doesn't matter. Matt Dealer is just here to clean up the rest of the fight as Arizona is pushed once more back into their territory.
Yeah, because they got those forward spawns, they're going to be a full group much quicker now, and so they're not going to have to rely on using a last-second ult to try and clutch it out. They're just going to have a solid neutral fight here, and let's see if they can hold on to this lead. And so far, this match has just been a war of attrition, and let's see who comes out on top.
Pay attention to that Sojourn, and right as I say that, Matt Dealer is making sure that this ratio stays properly in the case of Manoa. Casey Dunn putting on his Reddit Lucio cap once more, taking out Banana, but Sei coming back to clean up Levels as Akamai is making sure that he has that extra resources with the Overclock. Overclock doesn't get a whole lot, but Papa KJ is making sure that the Pulse Bomb sure as heck does. Akamai is able to take down Tom, and there is just a bit of a pestering from the Tracer. Is he going to try to make sure that they don't cap it over their line? It is only him on the point over here.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to try to stop it, and they don't want to concede this fight just yet. Matt Dealer going to get one on the Gravitic Flux, but I don't think it's going to lead to much. Suzu isn't used.
Papa KJ Tom doing another dance of death. He has just been on top of it with these nice Death Blossoms. Sure, he is taken out by Matt Dealer, but it does look like Flubbles and Papa KJ and the Reddit Lucio God himself, Casey Dunn, are still here. Is pretty low though. Matt Dealer not going to be able to get that extra pick, as we are seeing this march back over the line, trying to make sure that they're going to deny Mono of their full response.
Casey Dunn just being an absolute force to be reckoned with right now on this Lucio. I mean, it's just such a nightmare situation. You have a Tracer on one end, you have a Lucio on the other. You got to watch out for both, and then Tom just coming in for the kill right there. And again, they don't concede the lead here, and so we're seeing a really tight battle so far, but Ultimate's being traded off as we transition back into this forward push.
Oh, Saikana and Tom pushing us into overtime. Zay is taking out Papa KJ, but they is still a 4v5. And look, Matt Dealer and Zay are trying to match it up. The bot is still in Manoa territory, so Manoa is going to need to push it back just a little bit. Bubbles is making sure that he takes down. Bubbles is taking down Zay as well. Levels is coming back online as the Gravitic Flux is not gonna get anything here. Unfortunately, Akamai, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do. Banana is trying to put on his Reddit Lucio hat now, but it doesn't look like it's going to match up to the same as KC. Looks like Arizona is not going home tonight just yet.
So many clutch plays coming out from Tom, from Casey Dunn, and of course from Saikana. I mean, just excellent awareness to contest the point as it is in their territory, making sure that they're able to take the lead back and take the initiative back from what looked like initially it was going to be the University of Hawaii just rolling that momentum. They just kept coming back, and they were keeping the lead close every time, so much so that it was almost a flip for every single push, and I think they just managed their time in this push map better on the side of Arizona.
Okay, but we've been saying it this whole round. We've been saying it, popping off in the chat. Casey Dunn is the hero of New Queen Street. Had it not been for him keeping that point, denying Manoa from crossing over that side, Arizona would have been sent home 3-0. Do you think this is the start of the reverse sweep for Arizona?
I mean, if we are going to see any play like that, it is going to be on a map like Push. But again, I mean, you're going to have to temper your expectations here on Shambali Monastery. A lot of long sight lines, a lot of situations for the Sigma to reign supreme. And you can play Ash, you can play Hanzo. And of course, I think we're going to be seeing Say on his signature Junkrat. And it's not going to be as freeform, and you're not going to have flankers doing as much as you would on a really scrappy map like New Queen Street or some of the control maps that we've been seeing. So while I think Arizona can absolutely bring themselves back in this series as we saw them do there, where they're going to have to do it on. On University of Hawaii's terms, they're going to have to be able to adjust to their Sigma comp, which they have struggled with on some of the other maps like on Paraiso. They might even have to match it on the offense, but I think if they're able to stick to their guns, if they're able to make the Winston comp work on the offense, I think they very well do have a chance of taking this map to a Game 5.
And Shambali Monastery is a very different map. There's a lot of different environments in that whole map too. Now, my main thing, I got to keep it real. There's one thing I want to see, and I think you already know. I think you know who I want to see. I want to see the Ramatra play. I know. Ramatra is a pretty hot contested character. I am throwing out competitive integrity right here. I am throwing out any single nice team comp. We're throwing it to the rank ladder with that ranked Andes. Nobody's in voice chat except you on your Ramatra. I want to see the Ramatra play. I don't think it's going to happen, but please. Just for us.
Bold of you to throw that hot take out there, but on that note, they are going to be taking a bit of a bio break. So production, we're going to be taking a bit of a 2-minute break as we get these players back into their lobby. Stay tuned. This is looking to be a very exciting series.
Please play Ramatra. into the Shambali Monastery. And now, please, tank players, Plebbles, Math Dealer. I know he's not as strong anymore. I know the comp is not as
Oh
strong,
boy.
and I know that it's not as strong as it used to be. It doesn't last a million seconds anymore. But please, for the people, give the people what they want. We want to see some Ramattra play.
You know, I really don't miss days of the Emon clips of two Ramatras standing there side by side, just keeping their arms up and looking at each other for the entire map. But I mean, look, there is some merit to Ramatra. I mean, he's not as strong as he used to be, but of course, I mean, his ultimate is still very strong if used as the fight's kind of winding down, or even just as things are getting chaotic. Especially because we have seen River God use the Ana. In fact, I think he even rolled out on the Ana for that first push map. I don't know if he stuck with it, but that is an option. And of course, the Nano Ramatra ult is, I mean, as clean of a fight win as you can get. And yeah, it's still powerful. It has its place, but I don't really know if that's something that the University of Hawaii is going to commit themselves to. I know that they're very fond of their Sigma comps, their ball comps, and occasionally their Doom comps, even though that hasn't historically worked out for them in this series. But I would be honestly a little bit shocked if they ran Ramatra, not to mention if Arizona decides to run the Ramatra comps. I know that University of Hawaii has a few tricks up their sleeves for dealing with the big Omnic. So I wouldn't hold your breath. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's something that you can be looking forward to. But hey, who knows?
Now,
Anything's possible.
there's one other character that I think we do need to highlight just a little bit. We were talking about him this entire last time, and that was Casey Dunn on that Lucio, putting on his best Frogger impression, doing a very nice dance across the point. I am pretty interested to see what he's going to be doing on this map. Somebody who's actually relatively quiet in the first two games, but we did see him come online a lot, and yeah, it is kind of a bit of a meme. We like to joke about the Reddit Lucio, but that is a legitimate strat sometimes. Sometimes you just need to be a little bit of a slippery boy, slipping around that, accidentally, trying to make something with butter, and you actually get a little too much butter on your hands. You need to get a knife. Can't pick up the knife because there's butter on your hands, and that's Casey Dunn for Arizona. And I know Arizona's not really known for its baking, that kind, but hey, at the very least, Casey Dunn is making sure that he stays as slippery as he can.
Well, we'll keep it an esports year. And I mean, of course, Lucio, a character very close to my own heart, one of my favorite characters from the video game. And, I love to see really active Lucio players in the kill feed, of course. But, there is really an art to it. You can't just run at. I think that's what separates the Reddit Lucios from, the true masters, as we've been seeing. Casey Dunn, you know, showcasing a bit of their knowledge there on that push map. I mean, it's all about your timing. You can have the greatest mechanics ever. But of course, if you're going in when everyone has their cooldowns, you're going to have a rough time trying to get things done on Lucio. But as we saw, Casey Dunn, impeccable timing as the fight was winding down to get those cleanup picks and really just allow Arizona to take initiative back in those fights. Looks like we're getting a bit of a tech pause again as Map Dealer is having a few more PC troubles, but we will get back to you very soon. So stay tuned as we go into this next map and take a bit of a break.
a little bit on Math Dealer. You know, Math Dealer's PC being in Hawaii, all maybe just PC just actually fell in the ocean just a little bit. But looks like we're all good here. PC issues have been sorted out, and please, Ramatra, please just give me
I
Ramatra.
wouldn't get your hopes up,
Man, no, no.
As I was predicting, I mean, it looks like it's just going to be Sigma all day, and we are going to see Akamai maybe going for a spawn grapple shot here, but of course, long range DPS are going to be really good on these long sightline maps, especially payload. And again, I mean, I think Say is just going to be running this Junkrat as long as he can until he is literally unable to, and he's just going to limit test this Junkrat as much as possible. So
God's strongest Junkrat player has entered the room as Akamai is making sure to see if he can get that pick on the Widowmaker. Taking a bit of a nice grapple shot up here, doing a little bit of nice visual glitch on the end of Overwatch 2. Not doing a whole lot of damage, but still taking out a decent chunk out of Plebbles as they are applying a little bit of pressure onto them.
It's going to force the supports back, and the fight's going to initiate on this left side here. Let's see what University of Hawaii can make of it.
Math Dealer is applying a lot of pressure, although he does have the Ash Fire on him, so he does need to take a bit of a step back. So far, we're seeing a lot of poking, not a lot of eliminations. That's the name of the game in Overwatch. You do a lot of damage, but sometimes just nothing happens in the game. Banana Lupia is putting at least something into the kill feed, right? They're taking out that nice Immortality field. A lot of pressure from Math Dealer is being put on. Flubbles is responding back, and kindly, there's the first elimination. Just a bit of 45 seconds into the game as Say takes down Papa KJ. Casey Nunn is making sure to respond back to Banana, but Say, the Junkrat Warlord, we called him God's strongest Junkrat player, making sure that nobody gets to have fun in the game as Junkrat is just taken over, and a nice rock onto Plebbles, taking him out with a nice headshot from Akamai.
Yeah, God's strongest Junkrat, and he doesn't get that reputation from nowhere. There's fear struck into the hearts of anyone who's ever played in a UHE lobby of the infamous Justin Junkrat. But here, as they kind of stabilizes out, a good recovery there. It looked like a bit of an initial miscommunication there with Akamai on the setup and the flank angle, but it turns out good for the University of Hawaii as they're going to cap this first point with little resistance here.
That Junkrat play was the one that sets it up, the one that cleans it up in the end. As we do see UH making their play over to the point, it does seem to be a little bit of a difference in comp. They just don't have a lot to answer back to that Junkrat damage. Normally, in ranks, you see Junkrat players, sometimes it's either hit or miss, but it doesn't seem like it's the case this time.
Yeah, we're going to be getting the Elon Musk fight coming up. Check marks across the board for University of Hawaii, and looks like they're going to try to use them liberally, but they have to ration them appropriately. They might want to start off with the Widowmaker ult just to make sure that they can see where they're coming from, but let's see what they try to initiate with first.
A lot of pressure is being put down onto Akamai. He's not able to take a lot of the sightlines that he wants to. Say is also forced to back up as we do see the swap onto the Cassidy. The window was used by Banana in order to try and make sure that there is no being able to initiate. Transcendence is being used. Gravitic Flux does not do anything. Widowmaker taken down. KC, no Lucio Reddit God here, but Tom is responding back with the world's easiest grenade to never miss. As we do see a nice Deadeye being used, not cleaning up a whole lot here. Matthew and River God just making sure that Arizona does not get to play the game today.
Yeah, and just as I was talking about, I mean, even though University of Hawaii didn't really ration their ultimates, they're kind of making a case that they really don't need to. They just need to make sure that they get this fight, and they're going to have plenty of time in the bank to try and build up another fight like that. And of course, this fight here, or this point rather, can be really hard to crack, especially with the spawn right there. But
I don't know if I agree with that Winston jump from Plubbles there. He was just jumping right into enemy territory. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication. Say and Akamai are just the ones cleaning it up. Nice double tap on the Cassidy right there. Firing some extra little orbs from the Junkrat just in case there are any stragglers. Matt Dealer cleaning up Tom. And it does look like Plubbles is stuck in the corner just a little bit. Hitting the... Ew, no! Ew, it's every Wizard player's biggest nightmare, hitting something as soon as you're trying to do a bit of a jump. Arizona just being pushed farther and farther back to Tucson.
It's possible that Plebbles maybe wanted to, or maybe should have used Primal Rage there just to just to try and contest as long as possible, but maybe not getting it off in time, but perhaps for the better, gonna have it right here to stall out as much time as possible, but
oh, the C9! No! Heartbreaker for Arizona as Manoa cleanly takes over the point on Shambali Monastery, actually getting a even 4 minutes on the clock.
and that is a huge time bank on Shambali Monastery on any payload map. I mean, it's not insurmountable by any means, but perhaps the momentum that they had gained on that push map very well could have been diminished during that tech pause. Very unfortunate for Arizona, but we're just gonna have to see what they're able to do on their offense, and just on the topic of that defensive effort right there, by Arizona. I mean, it's something that every Winston player I'm sure has experienced at one point or another. They
Happens
saw
to me all the time in ranked. Don't even get me started with accidentally bumping your head like you're a nice little kid getting ready to be excited for the day, and then boom, you hit your head on the top bunk because you just were not paying attention. Happens all the time.
Hey, I'm 6'1". I've experienced that in real life several times on my way off of the bus, just hitting my head, and I'm sure that's gonna hurt. And even before that, on the fight before, Plebbles saw what I guess looked like to them a really good opportunity to try and take out River God. Bit of a primal instinct right there to just immediately go for the Zenyatta as Winston, but they absolutely made Arizona pay for it for 2 fights in a row. And let's just see what they can get going on the offense here, going right back into that Winston comp that we saw.
They're just putting so much pressure. They're just not able to overrun him as Akamai in the background is just sniping people left and right. A lot of damage, a lot of pressure is being put on Akamai once more. You're on the Lucio for sure, but it takes a little bit of time to heat up to be that Reddit god. Akamai just cleaning up the entire play, as we do see just a bit of a composition difference. No one on Arizona really has an answer for that Sojourn. Sure, Plebbles can jump at the back, but as you see here, the DPS of Manoa are just way too strong. Banana Lumpia is making sure he's not out of the way either, as Plebbles taken down. Tom's Wraithform is running just a little bit out. The supports, however, are disconnected from the rest of the team. Are they going to be able to get out, or are they going to get staggered? As we see, looks like they're going to be able to slip back just in time.
It's a classic, it's the classic bunker versus deathball dynamic that we see in Overwatch, where the deathball comp, which is Winston and that composition, they really just want to get in on the backline as quickly as possible without taking too much damage. Meanwhile,
onto 2, Plebbles is falling down to the earth. Winston falling off Horizon, losing Colony. The Rock does miss Tom, so Tom is able to make sure that he still stays alive on the Reaper over here. But still, that aggression from Math Dealer. Math Dealer's PC may have fallen into the sea, but his skills sure as heck did not.
Yeah, as long as he still has keyboard and mouse in hand, it looks like he's going to be doing damage. And right now, again, we see the anchor comp. I mean, you really can't stop the inevitable. The death ball is going to get on your backline, but you have to do as much damage to them as possible before they can finish off those supports. And right now, University of Manoa, they are making it hurt.
Oh, they are having to invest a lot of ultimates. We're seeing the Primal Rage, the Kitsune Rush, and now the Transcendence being used by Manoa, and they've only needed to use 1 ult this entire time. Arizona's used 3. A lot of pressure is being put down onto the Zenyatta, but it doesn't matter. God's strongest Junkrat Warrior is there to make sure that Plebbles does not enjoy the game. Don't count Akamai either. He is making sure that everything is staying nice and clean on the point, as Papa KJ is sent back to the spawn room with the rest of his team.
And just to try and match the amount of damage that is coming out of University of Hawaii, Casey Dunn is on the Zenyatta, but that is going to severely handicap their mobility, and they're not going to be able to get that fight that they want. They want to engage close and personal. That's what the Reaper wants. That's what the Winston wants. And when you're running that Zenyatta, yeah, you're getting extra damage, but you're just not able to close that distance, and you're playing outside of the optimal range of 2 of your composition, and that's going to be really difficult to overcome.
There is only 50 seconds left on the clock, and look at the major difference right here. Tom was able to clean up a lot of fights back on New Queen Street with that nice Dance of Death. The Death Blossom was able to secure a lot, but they didn't have to deal with the Math Dealer Sigma that time. Look at how much Math Dealer is able, just by existing as a Sigma alone, in order to deal a lot of pressure. A lot of the damage is being mitigated by that Sigma barrier, by the kinetic grasp, as a lot of pressure is being put down on Papa KJ. They know who the one to focus on here. They got the Discord Orb on him. Say, however, does not care. Bob Math Dealer does not care. Tom, however, also does not care. He is making sure there's 10 seconds left on the map, but he is making sure that this still is in.
Billy Mays here, but wait, there's more. Tom getting 3 on that push there, but this is far from over. This final corner can be this final corner can be a push ender if they're not able to win this fight cleanly. They're coming up to double support ults, but if University of Hawaii and Manoa is able to scrape together enough resources to put up some resistance here, it could spell trouble for Arizona and the end of their push if they're not careful.
And they did just use the Suzu. Look what's coming online from Math Dealer, but Plebbles is making sure that he is not out of the tank conversation just yet. River God does take him down, but looks like they are still staying in. Tucson is not fallen just yet.
And that is a crucial pickup for Plebbles, and a great awareness for Plebbles to call that they all focus Math Dealer 90% to that Gravitic Flux, and that could have spelled the end of their attack if Math Dealer is able to get that off.
That's a bad pick. Well, not bad if you're the one enjoying playing the Junkrat, of course. But as we see Say making sure that he is still the God's strongest Junkrat warrior, a lot of pressure is now being put down. Gravitic Flux, not sure if that really needed to be used, but hey, Math Dealer is a sync with God as he does force out the Transcendence from Casey, and Saikata is now taken down, put out of a bit of pressure. Papa KJ tried to respond back with his Zenyatta kill, and Say is taken out of the fight. Primal Rage is used as well. Overclock is still online for Akamai, but I think he knows it's better spent elsewhere. Math Dealer taking himself out with a little bit of the Sigma recoil damage, as now Arizona is still marching the payload forward.
Even though the Gravitic Flux didn't get much done, that is absolutely a good trade that you want to take if you're the University of Hawaii. Looking at this, they have 4 ultimates coming online. I mean, 2 of the DPS ultimates not really going to be too affected by the Transcendence, but that amplification matrix absolutely is, and we see the first pick already coming through.
An assassination attempt is trying to be made on Casey Dunn and River God, and it does not work. Say is making sure that everyone is taken out of this point, doing a nice double kill with the Junkrat right there. Fortunately, a lot of ults were used in the previous fight by Arizona, and look what's online for Manoa. Sure, Arizona does have a lot coming online themselves, but Manoa has the overclock, they have the Transcendence, and they're already 50% away to another Gravitic Flux. We do see the teleport coming up from the Reaper, trying to get a bit of a more cheeky picks, but I think they're going to be expecting it now.
Yeah, and Casey Dunn being forced to use the Transcendence just to survive in that fight against the Gravitic Flux. I mean, we see the ultimate trades. It seems like University of Hawaii is getting a favorable trade every time. River God has that Transcendence online for Tom's Death Blossom, and if they're able to transcend a play from Tom, that could be curtains for Arizona.
10 seconds left on the play. The name of the game for Arizona is to take down River God. You're going to have to ignore Math Dealer for now, but you can't ignore the point. 2 seconds left. 1 second left. No one is able to touch. A heartbreaker for Arizona, but a nice clean win for the University of Hawaii right there. Off the back of Math Dealer, off the back of the strongest Junkrat player in existence. Arizona just not able to take it in the end.
Yeah, and absolutely, we see there, I mean, Tom getting play of the game, but unfortunately, they spread their resources just a little too thin when they were trying to set up and posture for that attack. They really wanted to get into the backline there so that they could, of course, take River God out of commission, or at the very least force that Transcendence out so that Tom can get cooking, but unfortunately that day never came for Arizona, and a respectable showing from them. They are going to lose 1-3, but of course, excellent stuff from the green and white there. I mean, this squad is just an absolute powerhouse in this tournament series.
There was just a lot that they were not able to accomplish on the side of Arizona. Math Dealer, even though he did take a bit of a swim break right there, he was just constantly putting on pressure, but also the supports were just not able to keep up with Manoas either. There was so much there that needed to be done. A lot of the pressure onto the Sigma, a lot of the pressure on from the support line. That Zenyatta, of course, was setting up a lot of what Sei was doing. You know, he is the strongest Junkrat warrior, God's strongest Junkrat. But at the end of the day, a lot of that support did come from, well, the supports.
Yeah, absolutely. And that backline was just such a rock for their entire defense,
No
and
pun intended with Sigma.
so so much of their so much of their attacks from Arizona as they try to get in on that back line. Just the resilience coming from Banana Olympia and River God is just what kept them alive in that fight. And that's the resources that you have to spend to try and take them out is just it's going to cost you when you have a DPS like like Akamai doing so much damage, and you just have nothing left to defend yourself. And we saw that time and time again in this series, and it's going to be a clean win for the Rainbow Warriors. But that is the end of the series. Rainbow Warriors taking it 3-1 over Arizona University. And what a series it was. Thank you so much to my co-caster here.
Thank you so much to
had
my
fun.
co-caster here too. Amazing person right here, and he's making sure that I'm entertained and making sure that I know that Ramatra is coming someday, but it's just not his day today.
I did not say that.
Thank.
I did not say that.
He'll come. He's gonna come home. He's just getting milk right now. He's gonna come home.
I would not hold your breath, but unless another buff comes back that I don't know, infinite ultimate flying around the map, instant damage combo, I don't know. Maybe one day, but I wouldn't get your hopes up just yet. But that is it for this stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you right back next week.
See you guys.